things have leveled out, so I'd say you can go ahead and get started with some introductions.
All right. Welcome. Thank you, everyone, for coming today to our session on Education and Human Services Career Cluster. My name is Johanna Brzezinski. I'm an admissions counselor here at Binghamton University.
Hey, my name is Doug Harrington. I'm another admissions counselor here for Binghamton University. This is my fourth year now as in admissions. Super happy to be here. I did graduate from Binghamton. I am a Binghamton alum. I did graduate in 2016 and 2017 with my bachelor's and master's in business administration, respectively. So super happy to be here. I'm going to be chilling back in the question and answer section. So please make sure that you put your question and answers down in the Q&A functionality at the bottom of your screen, and we'll be behind the scenes trying to help answer them as much as possible. So thanks so much for joining, everyone.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jessica Lane Gwebukwisi. I am a career consultant at the Fleischman Center for Career and Professional Development. I am so sad I can't see you all, but please come and see me. We can talk all things careers, all things, your interests, exploring education and human services, and also government policy and law are the career clusters that I work on. And I'll hand it over to Luz for her to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Luz Velasquez. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am currently a senior at Binghamton, majoring in psychology with minors in immigration studies and Latin American and Caribbean area studies. And I'm very excited to be here with you all and share kind of my experience here at Binghamton and all the resources I've utilized to get to where I am.
Awesome.
Right.
So, Johanna, should I go ahead and share?
Yes, please.
Awesome.
So I did not say that I am also a Binghamton alum. I graduated in the spring with my master's in student affairs administration, and I love Binghamton, and I'm really excited to be able to introduce this session today. So today we're going to just start with a little bit of background information about admissions for Binghamton, and then we're going to move into the main session. All right, I am ready for the next slide. So Binghamton is awesome and located in a really beautiful part of upstate New York, which is great because we are not too far from some major cities like Syracuse and Ithaca, and you can also get down to the city from a bus. So there's a lot of the city being Manhattan. So there's a lot of different opportunities to explore New York from the Binghamton campus. And we are in a suburban setting that is right across the street from a river and really close to the city of Binghamton. So there's a lot of parks as well and a lot of opportunities to just explore different types of locations, including our nature preserve that's right on campus that students love to go into. We are a mid-sized university. We have 14,300 undergraduate students, as well as a few more graduate students that make our total campus 18,100 students. What's really great and something that I personally love about being at Binghamton is that we have a diverse campus. We have students that come from all 50 states and over 100 countries throughout the world. So you're really going to have this opportunity to engage with students who look like you, think like you, but then also this opportunity to learn and grow from students that have completely different backgrounds than your own. And it's just so much opportunity to grow yourself and help somebody else's growth experience. We value unity here at Binghamton, and that goes along with everything I just said about learning from different people because we really want to create that positive community environment. We have a really great retention rate. Our retention rate is 92% for first-year students, and compared to the national average for other public universities, which is 62%, we really do a great job of holding on to our students as well as our transfer students, which have an 88% retention rate. So that supportive community environment helps keep our students here at Binghamton. And now we're going to move on to the next slide, and I'm going to talk about what makes Binghamton stand out amongst other universities. So Binghamton is the #1 public university in New York. And if you're from New York, we have a really strong system here, the SUNY system, and Binghamton is #1. We are often called the premier public or the public Ivy, and we're also a top tier research university. So you're going to get a lot of value coming to Binghamton. And additionally, we've also grown a lot in terms of the services we provide, the programs we provide, the academic programs, as well as adding new buildings. We've got a new engineering building that's been updated, new services for our nursing students, just really great facilities on campus. And as a top ranked research university, as well as being a liberal arts programs college, you get that residential feel and you can make an impact right when you get here. So what makes a Binghamton degree have value? Like I said, we really put a lot of stress on that community feeling. So you're going to get that support while you're pursuing the academic program of your choice. And because we are a public university with such strong academics, you're going to walk away with that really great education with a cost that's so much lower than some other schools you might be applying to, and less debt than you might at some other schools where you're going to get a comparable education. So we really have a lot to offer. We have a great high graduation rate, as well as a lot of successful alums that come from Binghamton, work at big companies and have been able to find success in their field of choice. So as I mentioned, we have a lot of opportunities that Jessica's going to get into, and for the fraction of what you might pay at other places. If you want to learn more about Binghamton in general and you haven't done so already, please sign up for a Binghamton information session where we'll talk about the more general side of and more wide range of things about Binghamton. And now I am going to pass you along to Jessica to allow you to explore the career paths.
So thanks so much, Johanna. First, I really want to put it out there that I would love for this to be a conversation. And so I may ask Luz to pipe in, or even Johanna from her experience as a Binghamton University graduate. And Doug, if you wouldn't mind, if the students or prospective students have questions about a particular slide, you are very more than welcome to unmute yourself and throw out those questions. I'd love this to be conversational and give and take. So first, let me just start off by saying, today's session, we're talking about education and human services, right? And really, first we want to think about, what does education and human services mean? And why are we talking about such a specific segment, right, of careers? So the Fleischman Center has really transitioned to what's called career clusters. We're trying to help people to think beyond their major. We're trying to help them think broadly in terms of careers that are interrelated, so that they can help their exploration process beyond just, okay, I'm an English major, that means I need to be an English teacher, for example, right? That was kind of some of the old school, more traditional thinking of this very linear path. I can't tell you how many times I've sat with students who've said, yeah, I'm a poli-sci major, but I don't want to be a politician. And I will say, well, that's great. You don't have to be, right? Like, you don't have to be a politician because you're studying political science, right? It's really more about, how do you want to use the skills and experiences that you have gotten from your major in the career that you want down the road. So we have created these career clusters. There are 7 of them. As you can see on this list, I'm going to move all of the pictures so you can see it effectively. So there's arts and communication, business and entrepreneurship, education and human services, and so on. There's even there's even a career cluster for those who are still exploring, right? As you can see in the education and human services section, this is really thinking about teaching, social work, counseling, community and social services, nonprofit management. It is very broad. Basically, education and human services is really any occupation that is directly interacting with people, right? It's maybe cause focus. As you might hear from Luz later on, she'll talk about her areas of passion. Before becoming a career consultant, I worked in international development work. So my entire pretty much life has been devoted to working with people from other countries and working in refugee resettlement and in education abroad. So it's all about, how do you want to use your experiences as a lens for where you are now, right? And how does that inform your process? So I'm going to move on now to talk a little bit more about how can you engage in a career cluster. Whether you're a new student or you're a sophomore or a junior, there are so many opportunities that you can get from joining a career cluster. So you can receive customized information about the career. You can sign up for more than one career cluster. Let's say, for instance, you're interested in education and human services and maybe even government policy and law. You can sign up to receive a once-a-week newsletter regarding that career cluster, and it will include jobs, internships, blog posts, advice, alumni spotlights, alums from Binghamton University who have graduated who are now off and running on their careers. You can learn about events that are happening, scholarships, fellowships. So it's really kind of a one-stop shop that arrives right in your inbox about all up and coming events related to your career cluster. So I'm going to go to the next screen. You can sign up for career clusters right using this link, careertools.binghamton.edu, and you can update your preferences for the specific career cluster you would like to receive information on. So kind of doing a little bit more of a deep dive into education and human services. Again, we kind of touched on this a little bit. So teaching, counseling, public administration, and nonprofit management. And really even thinking about those types of careers that are related to teaching. You know, I'm definitely the kind of person where I could never see myself teaching in a standard, you know, K through 12 classroom, right? But what about adult education? What about career counseling? Like what I'm doing right now, right? This is a form of education and a form of teaching, but it is connected, but it is not like standard. I hope you're understanding where I'm going with this. So really thinking broadly, all of these careers are interconnected, and there's a lot of options out there. So what we really want to get across is that your major does not equal your career, right? Like I can't tell you how many students I meet with who are like, honestly, I don't love my major, you know, and they feel stuck. Well, the good news is now it's really time to start branching out and thinking, how can you use your skills and experience from your major in your career? And also, what can you be doing beyond that? What kind of clubs and opportunities can you be engaging with? As you are looking for majors, I know, you know, freshman students and sophomore students, they're thinking about what kind of major they should go into. These are the kinds of majors that are connected with education and human services very closely. So human development, social work, English, history, psych, poli-sci, sociology, global and international affairs. As I said earlier, that was kind of my area of focus before becoming a career consultant. Other connected majors, right? So thinking economics, anthropology, comparative literature, any of the area studies, right? I meet a lot of students who are interested in Africana studies. I speak French, right? I was a French major. So a lot of interconnected majors here that are really focused on people, right? People, communication, history, all of those different pieces. So moving on to the next slide. So here are just a couple, you know, companies, organizations that really stood out to me as organizations that are connected to education and human services. So you got Teach for America, American Red Cross, the Peace Corps, Office for People with Developmental Disabilities, AmeriCorps, right? That's a really great opportunity for students to engage in work and working with vulnerable populations across the country. There's the Binghamton City School District, right? Achieve. So there's lots of different organizations to choose from when it comes to education and human services. I also listed a few internship opportunities and job opportunities that I myself looked up and thought were very interesting. So there's a fellow position for the population education at the Population Connection. Sorry, I'm not reading that very correctly. So but a lot of fellowships, scholarship opportunities, developmental psychopathology. There's the Ambright Education Group to be an ambassador. So even think about this. There's an education intern at the farm sanctuary, right? So this is agriculturally focused, but there's an educational element to it, right? So teaching others about agriculture. So really thinking about how can you combine your interests, right? Like let's say you're a person who's really interested in climate and environment, but you also love education. There's a way of combining those interests and having it be very fulfilling to you. So there's the U.S. Partnership for Education and Sustainable Development, also related to those international careers I was mentioning earlier. And these job opportunities, right? Being a social worker, being a program manager for Community Partners in Action, a recovery specialist, right? So addiction, addiction-related type of case management roles. So these are just some examples of education and human services opportunities. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about what I mentioned earlier of the importance of getting involved, right? Like we can read, we can do the research as much as possible, but we really have to know through experience what it is that we enjoy, what gives us energy, what gives us excitement. And that's through education and human services related clubs. Right. So there's the 20-to-1 prevention program that teaches about bystander intervention. There's the Active Ally Club, the American Red Cross Club on campus, right? Teaches a lot about preparedness and give blood drives and being a support to the community. So there's also Circle K, which I got to be honest, sounds like such an awesome club. If I were a student back in the day, this would have been probably one of the clubs that I would have been part of. Circle K really does a lot of outreach to communities. There's the Mental Health Outreach Peer Educators Program, MHOPE, which, by the way, they are going to be accepting applications very soon. So be checking your Higher Bing profile if ever you're interested in educating the student population about mental health. This would be a great opportunity for you. It's a year-long program. It's an internship. You can receive academic credit for it. The National Alliance on Mental Illness, SHADES, and many more. There are a lot of different student organizations you could be engaging with. And if you want to learn more, you can check Be Engaged, right? There are hundreds of clubs that are listed there. And Luz, would you like to mention anything related to clubs that you would want to highlight on this page?
I would just want to emphasize too that it's also nice to be involved on campus, but also with organizations outside of the community or just national organizations at large as well. I found myself focusing a lot on those aspects as well that have helped me grow a lot as a person. So there's countless ways to get it be so on campus. There's also so many other opportunities. So I also wanted to highlight that and make sure that students are aware that there's so many opportunities for you to gain the skills necessary to succeed in your field.
That's a really great point. Also to say, if you don't see a club at Binghamton University that seems interesting to you, or you have a topic that you would like to create a club for, you can do that, right? So it really is a space for leadership, and it's a space for advocacy where you could create a club to address a topic that you're passionate about. Okay, I'm going to keep moving. So now I just wanted to showcase, we have a tool called Bing Career Destinations. And basically what this is, it is the senior survey that showcases where graduated students are currently working 6 months after they've graduated from Binghamton University. And you can check it out. You can look up any major. So you can see over here on the right-hand side, you can check biochem, computer engineering, economics. But these results are specific to folks who studied philosophy, politics, and law. So you can check this out. What are the position titles of these program graduates? So remember earlier in the conversation, I was saying, you know, students who are like, oh man, I'm a poli-sci major and I'm a senior, but I don't want to be a politician. Great. You don't have to be, right? So these are the kind of titles that students have coming out of PPL. So account management associate, emergency management assistant, human resources generalist, head counselor. So you can see none of these titles are saying politician, right? Like it is a very broad catch of different types of titles. There's a teacher, there's a legal assistant, claims and litigation paralegal. So some of them are related to philosophy, politics, and law, and some of them are not. Then you'll see, where do these program graduates pursue further education? You can check and see there's a lot of wonderful institutions in this list, including Binghamton University as well. Okay, so I struggle to get this video to work. So I am going to share with you the video in a different screen. Okay, so now we're going to hear from a Binghamton University alum who is also, you know, passionate about the Education and Human Services Career Cluster, and she's going to share a little bit about her experience. Okay, can you all hear this?
From Bing in May of 2019 as a double major in Human Development and Psychology. And since then, I am now serving as an AmeriCorps member with City of New Hampshire. So that's definitely been a wild ride. During my time at Binghamton, I was involved in like a lot of different things, including, like you mentioned, being a student worker at the Fleischman Center, which was amazing. And I think set me up for a lot of the things that I plan to do in the future. Yeah. But yeah, I'm coming to a close now with my experience with City Year, and I'm going to be pursuing graduate school at Boston College in the fall. So really excited for that.
Awesome. Can you tell people who are watching a little bit about what specifically prepared you for your transition to City Year, and then, you know, now going on to grad school, whether that be through the classes that you took or other on-campus activities that you participated in?
Yeah, I think, so I'm only a year out of undergrad, and it's really interesting, right? Because you have a lot of time to reflect. Because I think because college is 4 years of your life, and then it comes to an end, and it's like, what happens after this? But you have your whole life ahead of you. Right. So at Bing, I found myself always attracted to very student-centered, people-centered, team-centered kind of experiences. Yeah. So at the Fleischman Center, right, working with the team that was there, my experience with the Dean's team, which I think was one of my first experiences, really my first step into doing student affairs work and working as a group and as a team. And that's been really beneficial and one of the transferable skills that I think I'll take with me throughout my entire career and the rest of my life. Yeah. So yeah, I think thinking about all of those things, right, teamwork has really been awesome. And then I really found my home in HDev, I think. So I was a double major, and I think that I really enjoyed both of them, but HDev was really my home. We had a really large focus on social justice and identity development, and I think that that's been really beneficial as well in my current role, because I work with young people and helping them to kind of understand their own life circumstances, but then also going forward and thinking about how I'll be working at the higher education level with students as well, and just about the whole systematic structure that is. HDev really prepared me for that. They had a lot of group discussion-based classes, and I think that also allowed me to learn how to discuss my ideas and sometimes a difference of ideas with other individuals. So yeah, I think that it was honestly great. I miss it. I miss Bing.
So I'm going to stop the video there. And I really just loved hearing from Brittany. And her description of, she used a lot of wonderful, teamwork, right? HDEM being her home, like the focus on social justice, the focus on helping people understand their identity and discussions and really exploring and having differing opinions, right? These are a lot of those skills that we need when working with people, which is the central focus of education and human services. So I'm going to kind of transition, and Doug, if others don't have questions really yet, I will have Luz jump in and share her experience. And I'm so happy that Luz is here to talk about her experience, because really, she's going to be the best example for everyone to learn from.
Thank you so much, Jessica. So again, my name is Luz. So I'm currently majoring in psychology with minors in immigration studies and Latin American and Caribbean area studies. Truthfully, I came into Binghamton not knowing what I wanted to do for a very long time. I switched my major a few times and really didn't know what would be the right fit for me. But thankfully, I was able to explore and kind of find opportunities that aligned with my passions through my involvement, through my activities, through my job. So I currently work as a resident assistant on campus, and I absolutely love working with students. I'm very passionate about education. So that's kind of where my main focus lies. But I'm also, as a daughter of immigrants, very passionate about immigration. So I kind of juggled between these two for a very long time, and thankfully was able to kind of blend the two very well. And now I'm very interested in going into policy work with an emphasis on both education equity and immigration reform. But it took a long time to get there. So some of the things I did to kind of see what my options were was definitely utilize the Fleischman Center. So I actually also work in the Fleischman Center and meet with students to help them with their resumes, cover letters, and all that stuff. But just navigating that was very challenging. So Fleischman Center was very instrumental to helping me find these resources. So some of the things I've engaged in to kind of find my calling and my passion was a few fellowship opportunities. And I feel like this is not something students know a lot about, unfortunately. It's not talked about too much, but essentially fellowships are year-long programs where you commit to an organization, and they kind of help you develop your leadership skills throughout that year, whether that's through like trainings, webinars, and it's usually more of a cohort style. So you're going in with students who share this interest when you commute in that opportunity. So one of the fellowship opportunities I engaged in was called NUF. It stands for the Naspa Undergraduate Fellowship Program. It's for students interested in working in higher education, student affairs. And it's such a great experience for me, because through this opportunity, I got to attend conferences, meet with professionals in the field, gain networking opportunities, and really connect with people who looked like me and who were in the field. And that was very instrumental, because I felt like I belonged and like this was the right calling for me. And that was absolutely very important to me. And they paid for everything. So I got to travel to different places around the country, meet people all around the country as well, students who were either my year or older than me, or like soon to enter graduate school. So they served as resources as well when it came time for me now to apply to graduate programs. And another fellowship I also engaged in was, it's called the Líderes Avanzando Fellowship. So it is a program dedicated solely to Latino students, but there are so many more opportunities just like this one. And I get to work with an organization called Unidos US, doing education policy work. So I myself am a first-generation low-income student, and I got to work with this organization and advocate for the TRIO program here that we have on campus. So TRIO is a program for first-gen low-income students like myself, and they provide us resources to succeed and kind of thrive and overcome those obstacles that have been placed in front of us due to our identities. And now I get to work with an organization, and now I'm going in March to present my policy memo to legislative leaders, to representatives, and tell them, hey, we need more money, we need more funding, we need more support for our TRIO programs. And it's just an amazing experience to say that I myself get to present and go speak to representatives at the Hill And I feel like as an undergraduate student, that's like something really cool. And that's definitely a resume booster and was something that stood out on my resume when I applied to graduate school. And then last thing I'll talk about very briefly, because I know we're kind of getting it a little short on time. I also work currently as an English teaching assistant. So I speak Spanish, that's my first language. And so now I work with international students in our English Language Institute, teaching them English, helping them kind of improve their reading and writing skills, specifically in the field of business and economics. So helping them improve their vocabulary within those fields. So as you can see, I've engaged in a lot of different opportunities, and that's just a few. There's definitely a lot more I've done to get to where I am. But I say all this to kind of show that there's not one clear-cut path. You can dabble in different things, and if you learn you hate it, then that's amazing too, because you kind of start refining more what your passion is and what you hope to do in the future. I know that that's consistently changing as well, and that's okay. So yeah, there's just so many opportunities. And now through all these opportunities, have been able to get into graduate school. And I'm just really excited to see what's to come after I leave Binghamton. And I've made so many connections here that have been really, really strong for me to now leave Binghamton and still feel like I have that support and that guidance as I move on in the rest of my journey. So thank you so much for listening to me. If anyone has questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A, but it's been great talking to you all.
Thank you, Luz. So, Johanna, I think I can hand it back over to you.
Yes.
Actually, I do want to mention there is one quick thing. There's some other resources that you can also think about. We actually recently launched a program called Mentor Match. And Mentor Match is a program where you can create an account. It is free through the university. And you will be linked with a Binghamton University alumni who is in your field of interest. And you can conduct an informational interview with that person. So an informational interview is exactly what it sounds, right? Asking questions about their career. What was your career trajectory? What do you love about your job? What do you hate about your job? Describe to me a typical workday, right? So this is a really awesome networking opportunity and a way for you to hear about the nuances of a job in more detail than just a job description. So that was really my last just shout out for Mentor Match to create an account there because it really is a wonderful opportunity. So I will give it back to you, Johanna, and thank you so much for having us. It's awesome to share with people this information.
Yes, and I would love to say thank you to Jessica and Luz for giving us all that amazing information. If you have any other questions for an admissions counselor, please feel free to reach out to us. You can go to our admissions website. You can talk to us on Zoom or give us a phone call or send us an email. And we hope to hear from you soon. It looks like we don't have any questions in the Q&A because our presenters did such an amazing job. I'm assuming that's the reason. So I hope you all had a great experience today. We have plenty of more information sessions and webinars set up. So feel free to take a look and join us again for another one.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Have a good afternoon, everyone.
Everybody take good care.